Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. The team that we're going to be taking an in-depth look at today is our 2024 West Virginia Mountaineers football team. We're going to do a complete preview of this team, look over their roster, seeing what pieces they added to this year's roster, what pieces they lost from last year's team. But we're also going to look at their entire schedule, game by game, break down which games we think they're going to win, which games we think they're going to lose, and what we predict their final record will be. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will make sure to respond. So our 2024 West Virginia Mountaineers. Now, this is a team that immensely surprised people last season, just to kind of give us a floor for what we're basing everything off of. Vegas has West Virginia coming in at 7.5 wins. If you're a Mountaineers fan, you might be saying, based off of where we finished last season, that does not make any sense whatsoever. And I completely understand that. What I would say is I think Vegas is just looking at their schedule, and that's why they're predicting them to win 7.5 wins. This is not an easy schedule by any means. So even if they were to win 7 or 8 games, I think this roster is a whole lot better than that. It's just they have one of the more brutal schedules in the Big 12. But Vegas has them at 7.5 wins. This is a team that won 9 games last season. As I mentioned, a lot of people did not expect that. Head coach Neil Brown was on the hot seat. Everyone had him getting fired at week 6, but he went off and he had the Mountaineers' best season in a really long time. So props to him for that. That was a massive step forward. The next step now is competing for a Big 12 championship. Can they make it to a Big 12 championship? That's the big question. This team is actually situated pretty well from a roster standpoint this year. So it's a tough schedule, but at least they have a really good roster to be able to make it through that brutal schedule. They bring back a lot of offensive talent. They've also added in a lot of defensive transfers to kind of shore up how injured they were on defense last season. Quarterback Garrett Green, he is back for another season. A lot of people have massive expectations for him coming into the 2024 season. West Virginia, they had a great run game last season. They were a run-heavy, run-power team, and they did really well on that. They should be able to follow that up with even more rushing success in the 2024 season. So they were run-heavy last year. They basically ran themselves to 9 wins. So look for them to keep with what works. Keep it on the ground and pound style every single game of the 2024 year. You have the running back Jaheim White. You have the running back C.J. Donaldson Jr. These guys could both end up with 1,000 rushing yards per running back this season. Basically like video game numbers. And then you had Green. He had just under 2,500 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. So at least he was efficient there. But he ran for 800 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. As I mentioned, video game numbers, they have 3 guys who could have right around 1,000 running yards each. Wide receiver Jayden Bray, he comes in from Oklahoma State. You still have Clement, Ray, Gallagher III, Fox, Taylor. There's a lot of wide receiver depth. But as we already said, this is going to be a run-first team, but you always need passing weapons to be able to keep any opposing defense honest. The defense last year was average to just above average. That's serviceable if we can make sure that we get a similar production out of the offense this year. They were depleted on defense due to injuries, but they did hit the portal hard to try to shore that up. They brought in Hollis Jr., Jaheim Joseph, Aiden Barnes, CJ Crandall. So hopefully those guys are going to be able to shore up a few of those spots that they were lacking in last season. You have Burks and Wilson. They're going to be there in the secondary. When you add in the other guys, Carey, Ty French, Tyron Bradley, Martin, Vessernan, Russell, Mulba, McIntyre Jr., Jackson. There's a lot of pieces on this team. It's just trying to piece everything together during this season. But let's go ahead and take a look at their schedule. Let's try to see what we think they're going to do this season. They get things started August 31st versus a brutal game, Penn State, a top 10, top 8 team with the number 3 overall defense from last year. James Franklin really has the squad going. They've changed offensive coordinators. They're going to be extremely efficient on offense. You have Drew Aller, one of the best running back rooms in the country. You're going to have an extremely solid defense under Tom Allen. Penn State won this game last season. I think it's going to be similar this year. Although I think West Virginia is a solid team, even better than they were last year roster-wise. It's going to be really hard to play Penn State, even though you are in Morgantown. I have Penn State winning this one. Let's put it at a 33-17 game, and they start out the year 0-1. Next game, September 7th, we have Albany. This is obviously going to be a blowout. Look for them to rebound. They're going to win this one 55-13. They're 1-1. Next game, they're going to be at Pitt, September 14th. This is a tough game. Even though Pitt's not necessarily a good team, they're always a competitive team. Sometimes they get some good offensive play, but they usually have a good defense. Not in recent years, but they always play West Virginia competitively. But I'm going to go with West Virginia getting the win here. Let's put it at a 28-23 game, and they're 2-1. Next game, Saturday 21st, you have the Kansas Jayhawks. Also one of the best running back teams in the country. You have Neal at running back. If Daniels can stay healthy, this is a 9-10 win squad. Average to above average defense, but really solid on the offensive side with one of the best running backs in the country, a top 4 running back, and one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12. I'm gonna go with Kansas winning a close one, 33-28, and West Virginia's 2-2. Next game we have is going to be October 5th at Oklahoma State. This is a tough one here. Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon, the best running back in the entire country. 1,800 yards last year, 21 touchdowns. You're going to have better play from the quarterback position, although quarterback held them back last season. A lot of transfers coming in on the wide receiver core, one of the top 10 most experienced offensive lines. This is going to be tough, but Oklahoma State usually starts the year kind of slow, and they pick it up going into the second half. I think Oklahoma State's going to be favored at home, but I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with West Virginia beating the Cowboys on the road, winning kind of a shootout, 34-30, and that puts them at 2-2. Next game, October 12th, Iowa State. Iowa State's always competitive. They always run the ball. They're always physical. They play solid defense. They're always a 7-8 win team. Sometimes they kind of have a little bit of a down year, but sometimes they surprise and have a couple upsets. I'm going to go with West Virginia and their physical run game, being able to win against Iowa's physical defense and them winning this one, but lower scoring, 24-27. West Virginia wins. They're 3-2. Next game, October 19th, Kansas State. They basically play every tough team in the Big 12 this year. They're playing Kansas. They miss Utah, but they play Kansas State. They play Oklahoma State. Kansas State's going to be tough. Another great running back room. You have Avery coming in at quarterback, their highest rated recruit ever at the quarterback position. Really great coaching, just like Kansas. Solid team, very experienced roster. I have to go with Kansas State to win this one. It's going to be about a 34-24 game, and that puts them at, how many wins is that? That's going to be 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2. So they're 4-3. Next game, October 26th at Arizona. Fafita at quarterback, new coach, one of the better wide receiver cores in the country, but just so much unknown because we have a new coaching staff, new schemes. So just because they won 10 games last year doesn't mean they're guaranteed that this year. But obviously they're as talented of a roster as a lot of these teams to be able to compete in the Big 12. But I'm going to go with the sure thing right now. The sure quarterback, sure running game, same coaching staff. I'm going to go with West Virginia to win this one in a shootout, 33-30, and they're 5-3. Next game, we have November 9th at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not really good at defense, offense. They don't run the ball well. They don't throw well. They had a couple good games last season where they were able to run the ball. This could be in a shootout if West Virginia comes in and plays sloppy, but I'm going to go with West Virginia winning this one, and they're 6-3. Next game is going to be November 16th, Baylor Bearcats. This is a team that should be a whole lot better than they are. Dave Aranda has completely had this team fall off the rails. He's a defensive guy. Their defense is atrocious. Their offense is not good. They should be a lot better as one of the bigger schools in the state of Texas. Look for West Virginia to run all over them. They're going to win this one 40-24, and they're 7-3. Next game, November 23rd versus UCF. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one. UCF, they're in the Big 12. They have KJ Jefferson transferring over as the quarterback. You have Gus Malzahn, a very talented Florida roster. But UCF, after pretty rough schedule, they're having to now travel west from the state of Florida. I think that kind of throws them off. I think West Virginia continues that winning streak. They win this one when a lot of people didn't have them winning it. They might even be the underdogs. But they're going to win it in a higher scoring game again, 30-28. And that's going to put them at 8-3. Final game of the season, November 30th at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is tough. You have McGuire as the head coach. You have another top 3 running back room in the entire country. They're going to be massively run heavy. They're going to be running all over people. Texas Tech would have had an even better season last year, but they did have a lot of injuries, especially at quarterback. Quarterback's back, running back's back. Defense is average. It should be able to keep them in the game. It's going to be a game of who can run the ball the best. At least with West Virginia, you have 3 guys that can run the ball. Texas Tech relies on one, but he's really good. I kind of flip-flop back and forth of who I thought would win this game, but I'm going to go with Texas Tech at home being able to stop the Mountaineers' win streak. They're going to win this one. It's going to be 34-30, and I have the 2024 West Virginia Mountaineers finishing the regular season 8-4. Vegas has them coming in at 7.5 wins. I'm going with them going 8-4, so I am going with the over. And 8-4 might not get you in the Big 12 championship, but it'll get you a good bowl game, and you win that, and you're back at 9 wins. With this schedule, that's really good. Don't look at that as a step back at all. Schedule is way more difficult this season. But that's our breakdown of the Mountaineers. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below, and I will respond. Thank you.